Welcome back to the Lowdown Podcast, your home for the untold stories of sports presented by Lojo Media. I'm your host, Lauren A. Jones, live from Los Angeles. You can follow the podcast on social media at The Lowdown Podcast. And here's Lojo's Week in Sports. Here's the lowdown on All-Star Weekend, 3 things that were confirmed to me. First, Black journalism matters. Don't let anyone tell you that you don't belong. Thank you to the LA Sentinel for the opportunity to cover All-Star Weekend in Los Angeles, my hometown, as a respectable journalist. I mean, the highlight of my All-Star Weekend had to be asking LeBron James a question that made it to national prominence. I mean, let's roll the clip. Jones, LA Sentinel, when you look back right here.
Okay.
Hi. When you look back on this weekend, what will stand out most to you about LA All-Star Weekend?
I think LA is a perfect place to host All-Star Weekend. It's one of the few cities that we have in our league that can accommodate all of this. And when I mean all of this, you got over 200 plus countries that's covering the game. You got so many people from all over the world coming to watch our game and just be a part of All-Star Weekend. And we know the traffic. We understand that, but traffic is traffic, and but LA can accommodate that. It's built for stars. It's built for entertainment. It's built for cameras and bright lights, and it's a great place for it. I hope everybody had a great weekend. I know I did. I know my family did. So it was a great weekend.
That confirms that LeBron will be a Laker next season. No, I'm just kidding. But it did, lead me to point number 2. All during All-Star Weekend, I was able to ask some of the pressing questions that I think a lot of people had, whether it was Russell Westbrook or LeBron James. And my posts actually went viral. I mean, there were millions of views on House of Highlights and, the LA Times, and all of these reputable media outlets were using my question in my reporting. So I was like, okay, maybe I've arrived. Maybe I belong, in sports media. And I just have to say that the Sentinel, a Black-owned newspaper, gave me the opportunity to be amongst ESPN and Fox Sports. And, journalism isn't dead, and especially Black journalism. So from the LA Times and USA Today and Bleacher Report to All-Star Weekend in its entirety, I have to tell you guys, it was an amazing experience. But if you watched last episode, you noticed that some of my predictions were a little off. Actually, all of them. But, that's just not my forte. I mean, predictions are just not my thing. I can analyze games, I can see, the up-and-coming players, but just predicting who's going to win what is just not my thing. So maybe I can bring on a special guest who can kind of help me with that. And I also have to shout out my friend and LA native, Spencer Dinwiddie, who won the Rising Stars Challenge, the Taco Bell Skills Challenge. He's from LA. He put on for the city, went to Taft, and, he was an underdog. And I got to talk to him during All-Star Weekend. It was just one of those moments where you really have to realize you've arrived. So shout out to Spencer Dinwiddie. Now, if you want to find my next guest, 9 times out of 10, he'll be sitting courtside at a game, Oklahoma City Thunder to be exact. It's none other than the original Brody, Raynard Westbrook, younger brother to Russell Westbrook. And welcome to the show.
Appreciate it. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
We have so much to get to, but of course I ran into you during All-Star Weekend.
Yes.
How was your All-Star Weekend?
It was great. It was fun. It was exciting. Happy to be home and experience another All-Star. It was dope.
Definitely in your hometown of LA. So what things stood out to you most about this All-Star Weekend?
I think the game.
Yeah.
Like how they mixed the teams up, and it was East and West on both sides. So it was fun, and they had something to play for. So it was cool.
At what point did you realize, my life is going to change forever? Was there a certain point that you kind of realized that?
Man, it's crazy. Probably not till a couple years ago, actually, when I was in school playing football, of course, after I was done, I had surgery and I graduated, and I was like, well, this life is crazy. So I had to figure something out and do something with myself and make myself productive in any way I could. So I thought I could just help my brother and start motivational speaking. So that's my goal from here on out.
Now, your brother had a huge year last year. He won MVP. He had a son. I mean, what was that year like for your family to go through?
That was an unbelievable year. I I couldn't tell you we had that year in a million years. I'm telling you, it was amazing. My nephew was born. He a Taurus too, just like his uncle, so we good. And just MVP, that was dope. From the speech to the whole experience. Just you watching it on TV growing up and, like, seeing that my own brother's MVP is crazy. Like, he go down to history as one of the best players that ever played the game.
Yeah, I mean, I read during halftime you send him text messages. What are some of those text messages reading? And is it only when he has good games, or is it just like every game?
You know what? Every day, before every game, halftime, anything, I just text him encouraging stuff, whether he's having a bad game or not. I just make sure that I can send him something to where he can relate to and know what he got to do when he get back on the court. Whether he respond or not, I know that he sees it. So it's just something to encourage him, make sure he never get down on himself.
Have you ever felt like pressure to live up to, you know, the legacy that he's leaving behind as a younger brother?
You know what's crazy? I always told myself that I'll make a name for myself. Mm-hmm. And my dad always told me, never play for what's in front of you. Always play for in the back of you. We play for the Westbrook name. So I always knew that I could do something to inspire the youth like he's doing. So that's my goal.
You have some accomplishments, pretty high accomplishments on your own. You were the first in your family to graduate from graduate school.
Yes.
You know, and to earn your master's. I mean, those are major accomplishments. What was that moment like for you?
Amazing. It was amazing. It was surreal. Because, I mean, in high school, my grades wasn't all that. So me going to college and figuring it out and getting it done, and just me being able to be successful as I am today, and just walk across that stage and hear my parents screaming, it was a blessing. So it was dope. And a day after that, my nephew was born, so it was dope.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, it was dope.
Well, you actually got your degree, your undergraduate degree in broadcast journalism.
Yes,
so this is home for you.
I love it. I'm excited to be here. It's dope.
Oh, awesome. Well, tell me a little bit about how the motivational speaking came about.
Man, I started it a couple years ago. I would just go to different churches and speak, tell my testimony. And then God told me I had a call, and so I just continued to speak. And now I thought I should start my own little program and inspire the youth and just help kids that went through the struggle like I went through growing up, and just let them know that it's not easy, but you could get there. And you don't have to be an athlete to make it. And I learned that I don't have to play football to make it. Like, I graduated with the highest honors with my master's in my family, so that right there shows me that you can make it in any way possible. So that's my whole motive, is to let kids know you're going to go through struggles in life and you can still figure it out. As long as you trust God, you're all right.
Did you ever doubt yourself during the process?
Never. I always had a why not mindset. That's it. That's what I live by. That's just what it is, a why not mindset always.
Well, I spoke to your brother a little bit about where that mindset came from, and I think we have the clip, but why not? I mean, that's the hashtag that you guys live by, and let's roll the clip. Russ, where did the why not mentality come from?
Just something that back in middle school, kind of leading to high school, me and a couple of my friends, something that we used as a part of, staying positive, staying encouraging that's out. Why ain't going nowhere? It's over for that. See, I couldn't remain silent. But it was a mentality that we came up with, something that helped us stay encouraged, something that helped us stay positive, and a mindset that make you believe that you can do anything you put your mind to, not just in sports, but in life in general. It's something that I truly believe in, something that I advise and try to teach.
So that was a little clip from Media Day. We ran into one another.
Yes.
And that clip also went viral because of the We Want Paul chants. I mean, Paul George, you guys have been lobbying to have him stay in OKC. Of course, the Laker fans, me being one of them, want him back in LA. But that kind of brings me to my next point. So the NBA returns back to action tonight. They had 2 games. Your brother's playing in one of them. And we're about halfway through the season. So I kind of want to get your take on where we are in the NBA season. So the current leaderboard has James Harden, Giannis Antetokounmpo, LeBron James, Steph Curry, and KD in that order as the MVP leaders at this point. Who would you say is your MVP right now?
Well, you know who I'm going to say my MVP is. The Brody, of course. But, I mean, everybody playing lights out right now, but I think I'll have to get to my man James.
Yeah. I mean, the Rockets have the best record in the NBA right now, and he's leading the league in scoring. So yes. It was a close race between them last year, and so, maybe he gets it this year.
Yeah, it was. It definitely was.
So, okay, Pop also announced, I believe it was a couple days ago, that it's highly unlikely Kawhi Leonard is going to be back to play on the court this season. And, the playoffs are close right now. How do you think that kind of affects the playoff race in the West? They're number 3 right now.
It's going to be tough. I mean, San Antonio plays well.
Yes.
So they got like a good organization over there and a good system. So it's kind of hard to beat those guys. So I think they'll stay in the mix, whether he comes back or not. I think they'll still stay in the mix.
Yeah. I mean, who do you have going to the conference finals? I'm going to run down the Eastern Conference standings right now, and then you kind of give me your take. So right now, the Raptors are first. I was kind of shocked when I looked it up today. I didn't know that they were first. And then we have the Celtics. The Cavs are still in the mix, even though there was a really rough patch that they were going through, and LeBron was like, you get a trade, everybody gets traded. And then we have the Wizards, the Pacers, the Bucks, 76ers, and then the Heat. So who do you have coming out of the East or in the Eastern Conference Finals?
I got Toronto and Cleveland.
Okay. That'll be a great matchup.
Yeah,
I would love to see DeLon
I got to rock with my guys.
Right.
DeLon and DeMar, man. LA boys.
That's right. Okay, so then in the West, this is where it gets more complicated. It's not clear. So you don't have the Celtics, though? You're not believing in Kyrie?
I got to roll with the home. I got to roll with the home.
Fair enough.
You know what I'm saying? You know how I go.
Fair enough. I'm on the same board with you. I hope that they make it to the finals. That'd be awesome. So then the Western Conference, we have the Rockets, Golden State Warriors, of course, the Spurs, Timberwolves, OKC, of course, Nuggets, Trailblazers, and Pelicans. So who do you have coming out of the West?
OKC. We're gonna get it rolling this second half of the season.
Okay.
The big 3 gonna push through, and y'all mark my words.
What are those environments like in Oklahoma City?
It's dope. It's amazing. I love the people there. People is dope. They show so much love to us. It's a second home. I've been there since I was 19, so I love it.
That's awesome. So OKC's getting a championship this year? Is that where you're going with this?
I'm calling it.
All right. Well,
so then you're going to play this back?
I am.
You're going to play this back in June. And you're going to hear me say it, and everybody going to be like, I'm just telling you.
He told me in February, Black History Month. All right. Well, thank you so much for joining us here on the show. I appreciate you being here. And now I'm kind of going to switch it up. Football player, ex-football player. We have a current football player. I used to give him a hard time back in the day when we were at Campbell Hall. You followed me to USC. No, I'm just kidding. But these days, he's tearing up the football field. None other than USC wide receiver Stephen Mitchell joins the show. Welcome, Stephen.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Of course. So let's get right into it. You're days away from the Combine, a little bit over a week, right?
Yes.
Where were you when you found out that you were invited to the Combine, and what was your reaction?
I was in bed. It was the last day that they were actually sending out the invites. I woke up, everybody do that normal check the phone, wake up, and it was the only thing on my phone was the email, and it said NFL Combine. And the first thing I did was just call my mom because, they've been down with me for so long, so they were the first people I called. I was just extremely excited, man. It was something that I wanted this, my whole life. So it was just, pure joy.
I mean, I'm like smiling from ear to ear right now because I'm just so proud of you. But are there any current NFL players, especially guys from USC, that have reached out to you or that you kind of speak to on a normal basis?
I would say guys that I speak to. I talk to Juju a lot, just because we're pretty much really close. And he just went through his rookie season, and I'm right behind him. So I try to pick his brain as much as I can because I'm right behind him coming along. So him, Nelson, Marquise, those guys, really brought me through college when I first got here. I looked up to them a lot. they're just talented individuals, and all the USC wide receivers are killing it this year. So, hopefully I can be the next one.
Definitely.
Yeah.
I have to just mention and shout out Juju and what he's doing, not
definitely.
only on the football field, but on social media.
Yes,
I mean, he was the number one rookie in jersey sales this year. I mean, dude.
He has 800K now.
Right.
Too, so
we need to get Juju on the show.
Yeah.
Okay. But what's been the biggest learning curve for you about this process thus far?
Right. I think the biggest learning curve is, it's really hard to get, in the doors, let alone get this far. But I think what I've learned mostly, is work ethic. You got to keep working no matter what. When people do make it, they get there. They think they made it, but they forget. They have to work. In order to sustain. So that's one thing that I've really taken. When talking to older guys, guys in the league, just get there and just continue working.
What's the process been like for you? What's your training regimen and schedule leading up to the combine?
Every day. I'm training every day. Even on the weekends, I get Sunday and mostly Wednesday off. But I've been training. I got my track coach, Leroy, and my personal trainer, Charlie Collins. So it's been great. I've been doing this, since I was young. I started playing football since I was 5. So I'm excited to actually get to the combine because I've been doing these drills since I was a youngin'. So I'm gonna do good.
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, we're looking forward to seeing you next week, and I'm gonna switch it up a little bit because when I was on campus, there weren't a lot of guys that decided to go Greek. Yeah. But what went into your decision to become a Kappa?
Honestly, if it wasn't for football, I would have went to HBCU. It's always been my dream. I used to watch A Different World growing up, and that pretty much changed a lot for me. My older brother, Justin, he's actually a Kappa, so I used to talk to him a lot. And then actually getting to SC, I had torn my ACL as soon as I got there. So, my first year really didn't have it in mind to pledge. But, once the years came by, I felt that it was my time. So, I went through the process, came out, a Kappa man. So it's been good. It's been good.
That's awesome. Yeah. What has been the highlight of your time at USC? You guys won a Rose Bowl while you were there. Yeah. What's the highest point for you?
I think the highest point was actually a couple months ago. I as well just finished up my master's in communication management.
Congratulations.
Appreciate it.
Yes.
It wasn't easy, being a football player and going to school. I really don't think, school and football or sports in general mix. But, regard that was, pretty much my high point, I think. I always knew, going to Campbell Hall that, I had a good education background. So, it was pretty, smooth sailing, but that was my high point.
That's amazing. Yeah, I think a lot of guys, I was just going to say, a lot of guys don't even graduate undergraduate. So for you to take advantage of that and to get your master's is huge.
Most definitely.
So congratulations to you. You're already planning ahead. Yeah. I love it. That Campbell Hall education paying off. So I'm going to get into the lowdown because this is the Lowdown podcast. Yeah. So give me the lowdown. If you could play for any team, who would it be? And don't give me the generic, I would love to play for any team, Who would it be? Dream team.
Man, that is a hard... So, I grew up a Steeler fan.
Okay.
I grew up a Pittsburgh Steeler fan. I do hear, they are releasing a receiver. So that would be a dream, to play with my boy. But, I am from Cali, and I do like the warm weather, so I would say anywhere in Cali, or just on the West Coast. Dope. Would be good.
Yeah, we'd love to see you with the Rams.
Man,
you and Woody, nice little duo. I was back at USC. So, who do you think your game is most like in the NFL right now?
Well, one person I really look up to, I would say, is Antonio Brown. We're pretty much the same height. He's a quick, shifty guy. As myself, so I watch a lot of tape on a lot of guys. Antonio, Odell, even the big guys like Julio. I just try to take, things from all the guys and just implement into my game. But I think AB is pretty much my favorite receiver.
Definitely. Definitely body type and just
definitely.
craftiness, and he's a special player. He's a very special player. And, of course, he's a Steeler. So I'm hearing a lot of Steelers connections out here.
My dad would be happy.
That would be awesome. So when you hear that players like Doug Martin, who came out to a great start, their rookie season, are being released, what's your reaction to things like that?
Honestly, when I hear people get released, it's not surprising, knowing that, teams just look for the next guy. Sad to say, but it's a business when you get to the league.
Mm-hmm.
But I would say it's kind of scary in a way. But if you just keep grinding, another team will pick you up. You just got to keep eating, and just practice, like it's your last.
What's going to be your first big purchase when you do make it to the NFL?
First big purchase.
I talked to Marcus Martin about this, and he said he got a Porsche, and he regretted it. So what would you say is going to be your first? Have you thought about that far ahead yet? Or
I'm cheap. I'm cheap.
It's probably the way to be.
I would say like a Jeep or something.
Okay.
I don't really want no, lavish car like that. I'm really into fashion, so I might just go on a couple fashion sprees, get some jewelry here and there, but nothing too serious.
Okay, fair enough. Well, keep your money. That's what I'll say. Keep your money. What's one thing that people don't know about you?
Oh, man.
Because I know a lot.
Yeah.
But give us a little insight, the lowdown on Steven Mitchell.
Let's see. What people don't know. I prefer Disney movies over anything.
Okay.
I'm a Taurus.
Oh, he's giving us the Tinder profile right now.
I'm a Taurus.
Just kidding.
Man, it's not too much people don't know. I'm a quiet guy.
You're a jokester, though.
I am a jokester, but I'm more of a quiet guy, I would say. I like to keep to myself.
Touche.
Yeah.
Okay, well, thank you so much for being on the show. We really appreciate it. This was an amazing experience, and we're wishing you all the luck. We're going to be watching you through the process. Hopefully, we'll get to go to some of these workouts and see you in action. And now we're going to just transition into #facts. Every week, I kind of share a tidbit of Black History Month facts that intersects with sports and culture. So this week, it is #facts. The first Harlem Globetrotter woman was in 1985. It was Lynette Woodard, who had just won a gold medal in the Olympics playing for the U.S. women's basketball team. There were 9 women who played for the Harlem Globetrotters, and she was the first. And the Harlem Globetrotters are actually in town. I'm going to cover the game on Saturday, so I'm looking forward to that. And that's our #facts. Now we're going to transition into the shot caller of the week. There were so many options this week because there were a lot of big baller brands out there. But this one is, of course, none other than Mame Biney. She was the first African-American woman to ever qualify for a U.S. Olympic speed skating team. Unfortunately, her time was cut short. She was eliminated in the round of 16, but she's 18 years old. Right out of high school. She hasn't even graduated from high school yet. And one of the biggest names in the Winter Olympics. Now, I don't pay attention to too much of the Winter Olympics, but that is something to be commended. And shout out, because it's still Black History Month. We're really proud of you, Mame Biney. So that's all for today's show, guys. Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching and tuning in. A huge thank you to both of my special guests, Ray Westbrook and Steven Mitchell Jr., for joining the show. You can catch the Lowdown podcast every Thursday from 7:30 to 8. And if you missed any parts of the show, you can find it on youtube.com/Lojo Media, SoundCloud, or iTunes. Again, I'm your host, Lauren A. Jones, and you can follow me on social at Lojo Media. We'll be back next week, same place, same time, and maybe some different guests, but stay tuned for more.